All right, so ready to ditch those gym memberships. Today we're diving into Pavel Tsatsouline's The Naked Warrior. We're talking serious strength, building real power. But get this, using only your own body weight.
You got it. We're not talking endless reps in that burn. No. This is about unlocking what Pavel calls pure strength. It's about technique. It's about learning to tense those muscles harder with every move, not just, tiring them out.
And the core of it all. Two master exercises. The one-legged squat, you might know it as the pistol, and the one-arm push-up.
Right. And these aren't like your beginner moves. These are serious. They're like the power lifts of bodyweight training.
Yeah, you're essentially using your own body weight as the resistance instead of piling on plates at the gym.
Exactly. So today, our mission for you listening is to really unpack this. How can you build that functional strength? Anywhere, anytime, no fancy equipment needed.
Because as Steve Maxwell points out, in the foreword, these feats of strength we see, they're not magic. They're not some inborn talent. There's a system. There's a method to it all.
Yeah. That's right. And Pavel breaks it down right away with his Naked Warrior rules of engagement.
Yeah.
Basically focusing solely on strength training, using only body weight.
So the goal here is, like we said, pure strength. And that means shifting your mindset a bit. It's not about how many reps you can squeeze out until your muscles are screaming.
Yeah. It's more about learning to generate that tension in your muscles with every rep. More tension, more strength.
It almost becomes more like practice than a workout,
Totally. Like honing a skill, perfecting the technique, like learning an instrument or a martial art even. It's mastering your body.
He mentions these 6 keys to greater strength. And even though there's no list, he dives deep into what that means. It's about those underlying principles.
And this is where it gets interesting, right? Because it challenges that whole idea of just high reps with bodyweight training, like grinding out those push-ups until you can't do another one.
Right. But Pavel's, he's more aligned with the lifter philosophy, Fewer exercises, but perfect form, max tension, low rep range.
Exactly. And he actually quotes Christopher Sommer, who's this renowned gymnastics coach. He basically says, past a certain point, those endless push-ups, sit-ups, they don't really build strength.
They become more about general fitness or endurance.
Right. It kind of goes against what many people think, doesn't it?
Totally. And it actually links up with what Russian sports scientists found. Guys like Arkady Vorobiev, Robert Roman, they discovered that sets with less than 5 reps, that's where you get that maximum muscle tension, and that's key for strength. It's not about getting tired, it's about max effort in those few reps.
Now, the question is, how do you make those bodyweight exercises tough enough without adding any external weight?
Well, Pavel and the whole world of gymnastics, actually, they have some pretty ingenious solutions.
Right. First, think about redistributing your weight, like 2-arm push-up versus 1-arm. You're forcing way more of your body weight onto a single limb.
Boom, instant challenge. Then you can manipulate the range of motion. Go deeper in a squat, lower further in a push-up. That increases the demand.
Then there's training in an unstable environment. Pavel talks about Jack Reep, this armed forces powerlifting champ. He'd do decline push-ups, but get this, with his feet on kettlebell handles.
Whoa.
Yeah. That instability forces your whole body to work harder to maintain that tightness, that strength.
Okay, so that's what, redistributing weight, range of motion, unstable environment. What else?
Oh, varying your leverage. Think about tucked leg lift, knees bent, versus a hanging straight leg lift. Way harder.
Right, because you're in a weaker position, your muscles got to work harder.
Exactly. And then finally, minimizing any bounce, any momentum. You start from a dead stop, forces your muscles to generate all the power from zero.
Like Pavel's example of that, the one-arm push-up, starting flat on the floor.
Exactly. And he also talks about dynamic isometrics, which is like holding that tension at those tough points in the exercise, like holding a squat halfway down. It builds strength at those sticking points.
This is where Christopher Sommer's quote really hits home. He says, you can design bodyweight exercises, so lacking in leverage, with the right progressions, that you can build staggering amounts of strength without ever touching external weights.
It's all about not just what you're doing, but how you're doing it. Now, let's get into something really interesting. Pavel calls it greasing the groove. GTG. Basically getting crazy strong without a routine.
Okay, crazy strong without a routine. I'm listening. How does that work?
It's all about frequent, sub-maximal practice. You're not going to failure. You're practicing perfect technique all the time throughout your day.
So it's not about exhausting the muscles.
Nope. It's like turning your nerves into superconductors, as Pavel puts it.
So the nervous system gets really efficient at activating the muscles.
Exactly. Strength becomes less about muscle fatigue, more about nervous system skill.
Huh. Interesting. It's like practice makes perfect, but for strength.
Right. And Pavel has some great examples. His father-in-law, Roger Antonsen, former Marine, he started doing 5 chin-ups, easy ones, every time he went to the basement. Eventually, without ever pushing to failure, he was doing 20 straight chin-ups, more than he could do decades earlier.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then Pavel's own father, officer in the Soviet Army, he did fingertip pull-ups every time he left the kitchen. It sounds too simple to work, but it does.
So simple, yet so effective.
Right. And there's another story from Chris Rubio. He went from 5 to 10 pull-ups in a week, weighing 235 pounds, just using GTG. It's about those frequent sets, building what Pavel calls nerve force.
So it's not just about doing more reps of an exercise. It's about training the nervous system to be better at it.
Precisely. And it's not just for basic exercises either. Pavel talks about Steve Cotter, this kung fu champion. He could do 80 one-legged squats in a row as a teenager, all through focused practice.
80. That's wild.
It shows you the potential, right? And the great thing about GTG, for you listening, is how it applies to the pistol and the one-arm push-up. Just practicing them frequently, perfect form, not to failure, you gradually build the strength to master them.
Okay, so we've got the fundamentals of strength, building tension, practicing skill, not just fatigue. We've got GTG for steady progress. Now, how do we actually generate that max tension when we need it?
This is where those high-tension techniques come in. Pavel says the force you can generate, it's directly related to how much tension you can create in your muscles.
So it's not just about muscle size.
Not entirely. It's more about knowing how to engage them fully. He talks about smart muscle versus just dumb muscle mass, like prioritizing nerve force over just bulk.
Right, it's about how efficiently you use the strength you have.
Exactly. He tells this story about a fitness expo where bodybuilders were struggling to press an 88-pound kettlebell. It was awkward the way it was weighted, but leaner guys focused on technique, they pressed it no problem.
Wow, that's a great illustration. So it's about that mind-muscle connection, really using your brain to maximize your strengths.
Absolutely. And then there's this thing called irradiation. Basically, tensing one part of your body can actually make you stronger in another seemingly unrelated area.
Really? Like how?
Try this. Clench your fist as hard as you can. Notice the tension in your whole arm. It spreads.
Yeah, I can feel it.
And he connects this to firearm safety, actually. Like, don't keep your finger on the trigger because any sudden tension elsewhere, even just clenching your other hand, could trigger a squeeze response and, well, you know.
Right. Accidental discharge. That's a very real example of that connection. So tension in one area affects others. Okay.
And then super important, core tension. Pavel says power abs equals a power body. He's not talking about sucking in your gut.
Right, not just for looks.
It's about having strong, flat abs, that feeling of being anchored in your lower abdomen.
He even has this exercise, the back pressure crunch, to teach proper ab contraction.
Right, and he talks about your rear-wheel drive, your hips, being the source of explosive power. Like, heavyweight boxers, they don't have huge arms compared to bodybuilders, but they hit hard because they engage their hips.
It's about that whole body power generation.
Yeah.
So how can we actually feel these tension techniques working?
Try this. Squeeze someone's hand, moderate force. Then do it again, but this time, consciously tense your abs and glutes. You should feel stronger.
Huh. Interesting. We should try that later.
Yeah. And there's this study by Brad Johnson on the Iron Cross. By doing a hand squeeze, ab squeeze, glute squeeze, he increased his strength by over 40 pounds on average.
40 pounds just from squeezing. That's crazy.
It's about those small details, adding up to big gains.
So what are some other ways to create that tension?
Well, there's the static stomp, using ground pressure to boost power. A weightlifter, Dan Bescher, he talks about stomping his feet before heavy squats. Helps him grind out those last pounds. It's also common in Xiniquan Kung Fu, creating that solid connection with the ground.
Grounding yourself literally.
Yeah. And for upper body strength, like one-arm push-ups, punches, even bench press, Pavel stresses tensing your lats, keeping those shoulders down and back.
Right, engaging the back muscles.
Exactly. He quotes Masatoshi Nakayama, this karate master. He said, shrugging or letting your shoulder come forward, it disconnects your arm from those powerful torso muscles.
So you lose that connection, that power transfer.
Exactly. Then there's the corkscrew, the idea of rotation, spiral tension for stability and power. Like, Think of the rifling in a gun barrel.
Okay.
Pavel compares it to a karate punch, where that twist adds power. For push-ups, he recommends an inside-out rotation, each arm twisting slightly. It helps retract your shoulder blades, engage your back more.
So it's about adding that extra dimension of movement, engaging more muscles.
Right. Then there's bracing. Just tensing up before you even move can boost your performance by up to 20%.
Really? Just from bracing?
Yep. And that's why those dead start exercises are so good. Starting completely relaxed maximizes tension from the beginning.
Makes sense. Okay, anything else?
Well, there's body hardening. It's controlled striking on the body.
Whoa, sounds intense.
It's used by, like, the Marines, Soviet Spetsnaz, to get used to impact, to learn to tense up instinctively. You have a partner do controlled strikes, kicks, to help you develop that.
Wow, that's hardcore. Okay, so we've got bracing, body hardening. Anything else for maximizing tension?
There's zipping up, basically, refining your pretense, retracting your shoulders, engaging those armpit muscles.
Armpit muscles. Who knew those were so important?
Right, and then there's winding up for power. It's like storing elastic energy, like loading a spring. You pre-stretch the muscles before exploding into the movement.
Okay, so that's a whole arsenal of techniques for maximizing tension. Now, what about breathing? It seems so basic, but Pavel dedicates a whole section to it. Power breathing.
Yeah, he calls it the martial arts master's secret for super strength. Even Bruce Lee talked about breath strength.
So it's more than just getting oxygen in and out.
Way more. It's about creating intra-abdominal pressure, IAP. This pressure inside your core, it acts like a stable base for generating force.
Like a pressurized cylinder.
Exactly. And the power inhalation, it's focused through your nose into your stomach. You're engaging the diaphragm.
The diaphragm. Isn't that just for, breathing?
It's also a huge strength muscle. When it contracts, it pushes down, expands your lungs, but also increases pressure in your abdomen. And Pavel says there are sensors there that detect this pressure, and when it goes up, so does your strength.
Wow, so breathing directly affects our strength. Who knew?
He quotes a Tai Chi master, William C.C. Chen, who says, compression, not exhalation, is key. It's about maintaining that internal pressure.
So not just breathing in, but holding that tension.
Precisely. And Pavel says, focus on that compression in your stomach, not your chest or head. He even mentions Masoyama, the legendary karate master, who said to force it into the groin.
Force it into the groin. Okay, that's a vivid image.
And importantly, don't fully exhale or inhale during these power breaths.
So it's a controlled, pressurized breath.
Right. And that generated power, it should start in your core. He calls it pneumatics of chi. It's like this Russian military combat principle, where force starts from the center and flows outwards.
So are you saying that, like, when we punch or kick, the power shouldn't just come from our arm or leg, but from deep within our core?
Exactly. It's like a wave originating from your center. Now, we have these awesome tools, high tension techniques, power breathing. How do we actually use them with GTG?
Yeah, how do we put it all together?
Pavel has 5 conditions for maximizing high tension. 1, use a resistance that feels moderately heavy, even if it's just a body weight variation.
Okay, so challenging, but not impossible.
Right. 2, consciously apply those tension techniques and power breathing with each rep. 3, keep the reps low, 5 or less. 4, approach each set feeling fresh, not tired. And 5, go slow to moderate speed.
Control over speed. Got it.
And he emphasizes those low reps again for building pure strength, because strength is a skill and low reps are specific to building max force.
It's about quality, not quantity.
Exactly. He quotes Steve Justa, a strength coach, who said, you should always feel stronger after training than before.
That makes sense. If you're always pushing to exhaustion, you're just breaking yourself down.
Right. And that's why those low reps are good. Faster recovery, more frequent practice, which is key for GTG. And he's against training to failure. It increases recovery time, and by stopping before exhaustion, you're practicing success. He recommends doing about half the reps you could do most of the time.
So always leave some gas in the tank.
Exactly. And to avoid plateaus and injuries, he suggests fluctuating your training, basically practicing different variations of the same exercises.
So keep things interesting. Keep the body guessing.
Yep. And he also distinguishes between strength training and strength demonstration. Don't always try to max out to set PRs.
So don't go for that 1 rep max all the time.
Right. Save those for special occasions, and even then, use a taper beforehand. Reduce your training volume leading up to it.
So a gradual buildup. Okay,
Yeah.
So to summarize all that for our listeners.
Sure. Focus on pistols and one-arm push-ups. If you add other exercises, train them separately. Always perfect technique. Use those tension techniques and power breathing. Choose variations that are moderately heavy, moderate to slow speed, low reps, 5 or less. Practice frequently, ideally 6 days a week, if you can recover.
Don't push to failure. You should feel stronger after training. If you're overtraining, reduce volume. Progress gradually, use variations, and only attempt PRs infrequently, with a taper beforehand.
That's the gist of it. And now let's break down those key exercises. Starting with the pistol, the one-legged squat. Pavel gives a whole field-stripping guide for mastering it.
Okay, let's hear it.
The box pistol is a great starting point. You squat down to a box, then stand up on one leg. Powerlifters love it because it engages your glutes and hamstrings right away, thanks to that pre-stretch at the hips.
So it's not just an easier version, it's a specific way to activate those muscles.
Precisely. And you can adjust the box height to match your strength. There's touch-and-go versions where you barely touch the box, and evil versions where you relax completely before standing up.
Okay, so we're working on that hip mobility, that strength.
Right. And for balance, Pavel uses this example of Masoyama, the karate master, demonstrating with a chair. You have to lean forward to counterbalance your hips, moving back as you squat.
Otherwise, you tip over backwards.
Exactly. Keep that shin vertical, like your legs stuck in cement or a stiff ski boot.
No knee buckling, no shooting the knees forward.
Right. And engage those hip flexors to pull yourself down. Don't just fall into the squat, but don't overdo it. Stretch those hip flexors after each set.
Got it. So engage those muscles, but keep them loose.
Exactly. And for balance, especially as you get deeper, reach your arms forward or even hold the toe of your straight leg if you're flexible enough.
So it's those little details, the form cues, that make a big difference.
Absolutely. And the progression is simple. Lower that box gradually until you can sit on the floor. Visualize pushing through the ground with your heel to stand up.
So building up to that full range of motion.
Right. You can even use furniture, like a desk or table, for a modified one-legged squat. Especially helpful if you're adding weight with a vest, helps you stay balanced.
Okay, so lots of options for working up to that full pistol. What about other variations?
Well, there's the airborne lunge. Your back knee touches down, but not your foot. Keep that front heel planted. You can make it tougher by pausing at the bottom or holding your free foot behind you.
So a bit easier, but still working on that single leg strength.
Exactly. Then there's the pistol classic, the full rock bottom squat, no bounce. Needs good balance, flexibility. Pavel suggests using a light counterweight at first.
Like holding something out in front of you.
Yeah, just for balance. And no knee slipping, ankle caving, or twisting.
Strict form is crucial.
Absolutely. And J.D. Wilson, this strength athlete, he has a good tip. Just practice holding that bottom position, static holds, to build comfort and stability.
So getting used to that deep position.
Right. And Steve Cotter compares it to a one-legged Janda sit-up, emphasizing that hip drive.
Engaging those glutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the classic pistol. Any other variations?
If you have knee issues, try the negative free pistol. You only focus on the standing up part, less stress on the joints.
So modifying it to be a little more knee-friendly.
Right. Then there's the renegade pistol, where you switch legs slowly, no hands, no sitting down. Really tests your control.
Okay, that one sounds tough.
It is. Then there's the fire in the hole pistol. It's a partial range of motion, focus on bracing and firing those muscles. Good for using heavier weights than you could for a full pistol.
So maximizing tension in a shorter range.
Exactly. Then there's the Cossack pistol, which is explosive. You switch legs with a grunt. Needs healthy knees, strong legs. It's like a front heel kick.
Whoa, okay, this is getting advanced.
Then there's the dynamic isometric pistol, where you pause at different points, bottom, parallel, slightly above.
Yeah.
Increases time under tension, builds strength at those sticking points, and it can actually make your knees more resilient.
Pausing to build strength. Interesting.
And lastly, the isometric pistol. You hold that rock bottom position for time, up to a couple of minutes. Engage those hamstrings, maintain tension.
So building strength through stillness.
Precisely. And Pavel does mention the weighted pistol, adding external weight. But he advises against using that forced rep technique, hooking your heel, for bodyweight only pistols. Can be risky for the knees.
Safety first. Okay, so we've covered a ton of pistol variations. Now let's move on to the one-arm push-up.
All right, ready to get those arms burning?
Bring it on.
Pavel has a bunch of variations for this one too. For starters, try doing push-ups with your hands on kettlebell handles. Adds instability, increases tension.
Like those decline push-ups Jack Reap was doing.
Exactly. Then there are did start one-arm push-ups. Start lying flat, no momentum, pure strength.
Okay, so we're starting from a completely relaxed position. just like with a dead start pistol.
Right. And then there are dynamic isometrics for push-ups too. Pause at your sticking points, like when your chest is just off the floor.
So we're applying that same isometric principle to build strength at specific points in the movement.
Exactly. Then there are different hand positions. Fingertips, fists, even knuckles. Builds wrist strength, changes the difficulty. He even mentions specific knuckle push-up variations from martial arts.
So variety is key, keeps things interesting and challenging.
Absolutely. Then there's the isometric one-arm push-up. Like the isometric pistol, you hold a position halfway down or just off the floor, maintaining tension.
Okay, so building static strength.
Right. And for a challenge, try the one-arm dive bomber push-up. It's a more complex movement. You descend at an angle, like diving under a low fence.
I'm going to have to look that one up. Sounds pretty intense.
It is. So even with just these two exercises, the pistol and the one-arm push-up, there's so much room for progression and challenge.
Yeah, a lifetime of training, really.
Yeah.
Now, how does all this fit in with other types of training, like barbells or kettlebells?
Good question. Pavel talks about that in the section called Integrating with Other Training.
Let's hear it.
He loves barbells, especially for heavy lifting and power cycles. You can really fine-tune the resistance.
Yeah, barbells are great for progressive overload.
But he points out that dumbbells aren't always practical for leg work. Hard to find ones heavy enough for serious deadlifts or pistols.
Right, you'd need a whole rack of them.
He's a big fan of kettlebells, though. He says they're like weightlifting times 10.
That's a bold statement.
And he explains how even one kettlebell can provide progressive overload for your legs. From goblet squats to front squats, even one-legged squats with the kettlebell held in different positions.
So it's about using your resources creatively.
Right. And he says that combining a few power calisthenics exercises with kettlebell training is really effective, especially for combat-focused training. Simple and effective.
Less is more, right? So can we use high-tension techniques in GTG with strength endurance training?
Definitely. For GTG, just do about half your max reps. And for endurance tests, apply those high-tension techniques in the last few reps.
So it's about being strategic with those techniques.
Exactly. And if you're overtraining, either do GTG every other day or train in cycles with rest days.
Listen to your body.
Always. And for a well-rounded, long-term Naked Warrior program, he recommends adding a big pull exercise, like a deadlift, clean, or snatch. Train it separately, maybe twice a week.
So adding some heavier barbell work.
Right. He tells a story about Zach Maxwell, who basically did unconscious GTG through climbing around his house. He got really good at pull-ups just from doing that.
So you could even apply these principles outside of formal training.
Absolutely. And while GTG is great for one or two exercises, don't try to do it with too many unrelated ones. You can add non-overlapping exercises like deadlifts or pull-ups alongside your pistols and one-arm push-ups. But avoid things like bench press, which works similar muscles to the push-up.
So it's about being mindful of overlap, not overloading the same muscle groups.
Exactly. And he addresses muscle imbalances. He says they're unlikely with proper pistol and one-arm push-up form because they work all the major muscle groups.
Those are compound movements, working multiple muscles at once.
Right. He does mention a couple of extra exercises, though. The door pull-up from Bill Wallace and the wall squat from Chikung, if you want to add those in.
And for a real grip challenge, there's the evil thick bar pull-up. Using a thick barbell that rolls makes it way harder.
So there you have it, a whole system for building serious strength with just your body weight.
It's amazing how much you can achieve with just these basic principles.
Right. So what are the key takeaways for our listeners?
Well, strength is a skill. You build it through focused practice, using those high-tension techniques and power breathing. It's not about mindless effort. It's about mastering your body.
And we encourage you to try these principles, whether you train with body weight, barbells, kettlebells, or anything else. That focus on tension, practicing frequently but not to failure, it can really boost your results.
Absolutely. And to leave you with a final thought, if you can unlock so much potential just by mastering your own body, what else might be possible with that same focused attention and discipline? Think about that. Until next time, keep exploring.